putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. If you live in California, I have a word for you. In the spirit of Joe Biden, leave now. Some of you will get that. Look, this place has gone nutty. The first sign, well, there's been many signs, but one of the signs was when you voted back in Jerry Brown. Moonbeam. I mean, the guy is well past his expiration date. I don't understand why these old white Democrats believe that they should be in charge of people. They're feeble. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Jerry Brown has brain cancer. The things that this man proposes are beyond ridiculous. And this one that I'm going to tell you about, you probably heard about it, is the HIV legislation. I call it don't ask, don't tell. While California, I don't know if you guys are aware, they're experiencing a hepatitis A outbreak. It's claimed 17 lives. They say it hasn't peaked. It could take more than a year to abate. It's a contagious, liver-damaging illness. 568 people have been diagnosed with it since November, mainly in San Diego, Santa Cruz, and LA counties. The outbreak occurred, in my opinion, due to the influx of illegals. But don't think California is going to admit to this, because that potential fact could validate President Trump. President Trump talked about, what happens when who do you have coming across the border? You got villains, drug dealers, sex traffickers, you name it. And you also bring disease. What's funny, if you ever go through customs, I was in Paris not long ago, and you go through customs and they ask you got any fruits? No, I didn't bring any gays with me. No, they ask you, do you got any fruits? You got any, animals or whatever? So they want to know. Does the logic of this hit leftists? That if they don't want me to bring in a fruit, they probably don't want me letting people sneak across the border, bringing whatever they bring. Look, this is a direct result of the illegals coming into this country. I talked about this on Sean Hannity's show, and he was like, Kevin, how many cases of scabies? I'm like, I don't know how many cases of scabies. Here's what I can tell you. I hadn't heard scabies in a long time until they brought in 60,000 kids from South America and Central America. We hadn't heard about it. Suddenly there's a new outbreak of measles in America. Where do you think it's coming from? We eradicated all this stuff. We are not third world, despite what Barack Obama tried to do. So it's directly tied to this. And I think Donald Trump should quarantine California and build a wall on the California border in the United States. Because I don't want any of these things. I don't want scabies. I don't want hepatitis A. Anyway, this is an article in LA Times, and what I really wanted to talk about, which is Jerry Brown, Moonbeam, signed a bill that lowers from a felony to a misdemeanor the crime of, get this, knowingly exposing a sexual partner to HIV without disclosing the infection. So you could go out, get into a relationship with somebody and expose them to HIV knowingly, and they say, oh, it's no big deal. Yeah, it's just, chlamydia. And they say the measure also applies to those who give blood without telling the blood bank that they're HIV positive. Do you want to get blood in California? Unbelievable. And here's the rationale. Modern medicine allows those with HIV to live longer lives and nearly eliminates the possibility of transmission. Unbelievable. Folks, Californians are dangerous. Here's what they said about it. Today, California took a major step towards treating HIV as a public health issue instead of treating people living with HIV as criminals. This is what Scott Wiener said in a statement. I don't know if he's any kin to Anthony Weiner, but we can check that out later. Yeah, isn't it interesting that Wiener is the one that's proposing this legislation? They said HIV should be treated like all other serious infectious diseases. And that's what SB 239 does. A public health menace, and Jerry Brown touts the science of it. Modern medicine. What happened to if we can just save one life? That's always what they talk about. And as for criminality, if a person who knowingly gives a potentially dangerous disease to somebody is a criminal, at least that's how I see him. But the law goes all Comey on you, which is really dangerous. Now you're going, Kevin, what are you talking about? It goes all Comey. Well, here's what I'm talking about. Supporters of the change said the current law requires an intent to transmit HIV to justify a felony. But others noted cases have been prosecuted where there was no physical contact. So there was an argument intent was lacking. Now, exactly how do you declare intent given James Comey's torturous precedent? Think about it. Hillary Clinton hit a server, hired a separate IT staff, sent classified emails, and we know the content of some. She then deleted 33,000 emails before turning over the other emails to the Justice Department and bleach bit her hard drives. Finally, she destroyed cell phones with hammers. But Comey determined that Clinton had no intent to obstruct justice. So what are we mere mortals going to be dealing with? If you can't convict on that, I mean, what chance do we stand? Man, this is amazing to me, folks. They said Brown declined to comment, and I'm sure he won't. Who's he got to report to? But here's the real irony. While Governor Moonbeam downgrades HIV from a deadly disease to a nuisance, the CDC upgraded gonorrhea to potentially deadly. Did you guys hear about this? According to the World Health Organization, data from 77 countries show that antibiotic resistance is making gonorrhea, a common sexually transmitted infection, much harder and sometimes impossible to treat. The bacteria that causes gonorrhea are particularly smart. Every time we use a new antibiotic to treat the infection, the bacteria evolve to resist them, says Dr. Theodora Wee, medical officer of the human reproduction at WHO. So the notion of downgrading HIV to me is ridiculous. Look, diseases morph. They change. You can't take something that's deadly and go, oh, it's no big deal, any more than you can take something that's no big deal and go, it'll never evolve. Things evolve. And it's evolving because of the way we as humans have evolved. So what is this? What are we talking about here, folks? Let me just break it down for you. This is the gay agenda. See, further legislation like this is the very reason that HIV and AIDS became one of the most deadly STDs in history. And I wrote about this a while back. There was a thing that said, a marketing thing that said, sex doesn't cause AIDS, a virus does. See, AIDS was first identified in the United States in 1981. And about the time when this was in 2013, the numbers I had was about 1 million, just say 1.1 million people had been diagnosed with AIDS, and close to 600,000 of them had died. In 1983, there were only 1,500 cases of AIDS diagnosed in America, but the infection rate was doubling every month. The gay community got engaged in a campaign of intimidation against anybody that would label it sexually transmitted. So the Stonewall Gay Democratic Club in San Francisco was one of the more powerful political groups at the time, and it promoted the slogan, sex doesn't cause AIDS, a virus does. Well, it wasn't true. And it was all meant to, don't criticize the gay lifestyle because we go out and have promiscuous sex in bathhouses with anybody, anytime, anywhere. Don't do it. Look, I don't give a crap about your sexuality until you start legislating with it. And that is exactly what's happening here now with a disease that nobody wants. Look, stigmas aside, You don't want HIV. I don't care what the medicines are. Brown's legislation is LGBTQ lifestyle marketing part 2. This type of legislation is reckless and it's dangerous, and you people in California should be ashamed of yourselves for allowing this type of thing to happen. You should be voting these fools out of office. This is not only protection for you, it's protection for the rest of the country.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.